Hi, this is post-production L. I realized that I drove all the way up to Hinton to record this, and my mic didn't work. So I'm sure everything I said was like really inspiring and original, but I did not make a script, which I probably was supposed to. I just kind of freeballed. But I said some good stuff. Unfortunately, did not record. So I'm just gonna give you the view and have me talk over it. So, for my book for quarter one reading, I don't know if that's what you call it, but I did Earth Abides. So the main thing that's interesting about this book is why I actually read it. So I'm really into like media, film, stuff like that. I love storytelling. My favorite show of all time is called The Last of Us, and in The Last of Us, this book was actually featured in like a couple scenes. Like, it was nothing big, it was just like a side thing. So I was like, hey, that's a cool book, I wonder if I should look into it. And I actually picked up the book and I was like, oh, so the plot of The Last of Us is like zombie apocalypse takes over the world. And this book actually, I think it was written in the 40s by some guy named George. Sorry, I don't have the book with me right now, but it was written in the 40s, and it was about an outbreak that basically wiped out the entire world, from like continent to continent. They don't know what caused it. It just happened, and there's like only tiny pockets of people left scattered throughout the world. And the premise of the book is the main character is a guy. Could not tell you his name. I read this book at like the beginning of the year, and I'm just finally getting around to recording this, unfortunately, which is my bad. I should have just got it done. But this guy, so before the outbreak, he is on a retreat, kind of, or he's doing something for a college class where he's out like in the mountains, in the woods by himself, just him and like his dog. He's observing the nature and seeing how things are reacting to certain things, and how the climate changed, and how like the weather is changing, how everything is shifting. Because that's his thing. He likes observing and documenting those observations. He gets sick for a little while, and by the time he's able to like get around to like going back to the city and stuff, everyone is gone. Everything's wiped out. He's basically left alone. So he takes it as his divine right, I think is how he put it, that since what he was doing when it happened was observing, he's going to observe how the world is now happening. Like, what's going to change now that humans are gone. And for the most part of the first couple of chapters, it's split into like 3 different parts, but for the first one, he sees just the rise and fall of other species. So first it was like ants. There was a huge population of ants that basically took over everything. They were all over the ground everywhere. And then rapidly, once they peaked into like millions and millions and millions, and there wasn't enough for the ants to actually survive off of, they got wiped out. And then there was another wave of like cattle and then rats. So what he's observing is this pattern of no matter what, the population will be controlled. Something will happen that will control the population so that they don't take over the earth, whether that's the animals starving or an illness coming through, like with the humans. So that's kind of the observation he discovers. So yeah, no matter what, Earth abides. Things will come and go, but they will build back up, only to be wiped out. There will always be like one major being on the planet, is his assumption by the end. Throughout the book, he eventually finds other people, and they begin to build a new civilization, starting over. And he just observes that, and he spends the entire rest of the book just seeing how the next generation is coming along with none of their previous knowledge, because obviously all knowledge is wiped out, and the new generations don't have education, even as much as he tries to foster that. Because he's really the only educated person that he can find in this group of people. They prosper pretty well. I think eventually part of their civilization gets wiped out by like a fire or something, once it gets big enough. But yeah, it just like shows the different challenges facing like as he went along in this new world and his observations. And the point that I wanted to yap about and relate to is he is very much like me. I definitely go into lots of situations just trying to figure out how things work and trying to observe so that I can insert myself properly. I found it very like-minded, the way that he went about observing things and just recognizing patterns mostly, which is a lot of what the human brain does and is destined to do. And I think that's very interesting that was like his core of humanity that was left behind after all other humanity basically got wiped out. Obviously, I would say I don't normally read older books, but I actually find them very interesting. Unfortunately, most of them are pretty poorly written, like this one. Oh, I'm over 5 minutes. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's about all I've got. I wouldn't really recommend it, but I mean, it's not terrible. But it's definitely not something I would take off a shelf and read the back and be like, yeah, this is what I'd be into. But it was an interesting insight on both the world building of the series, of the show, and the game, and also just a reflection on our society as a whole, and kind of interesting how it like predicted COVID, where like there was concerns about, hey, now that we have access to other continents so easily, things could easily spread and wipe out the entire world. Like, that's a possibility now, which is definitely a huge concern. And I thought it was really, really fascinating that it basically like predicted that in the 40s when we had COVID in 2020. And I think the show is set in 2010s. So yeah, the game as well. It's a game. The game is better than the show. If you're gonna watch The Last of Us, I'd recommend watching the first season and then watching all of the games, because they really mischaracterize all of the characters in the second season. But we're not here to talk about a show. That's all. Have a good one.